like to invite our children to come forward who are going to participate in the liturgy of the Word. Dear boys and girls, we send you forth now to go and listen to God's word prepared for you. May you continue to grow in that faith and love of knowledge of Jesus Christ always. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen.
A reading from the book of the prophet Isaiah. The desert and the parched land will exult. The steppe will rejoice and bloom. They will bloom with abundant flowers and rejoice with joyful song. The glory of Lebanon will be given to them, the splendor of Carmel and Sharon. They will see the glory of the Lord, the splendor of our God. Strengthen the hands that are feeble. Make firm the knees that are weak. Say to those whose hearts are frightened, be strong, fear not. Here is your God. He comes with vindication, with divine recompense. He comes to save you. Then will the eyes of the blind be opened, the ears of the deaf be cleared. Then will the lame leap like a stag. Then the tongue of the mute will sing. To those who the Lord has ransomed will return and enter Zion singing, crowned with everlasting joy. They will meet with joy and gladness. Sorrow and mourning will flee. The word of the Lord.
From Psalm 146 we sing, O Lord, come save us.
A reading from the letter of St. James. Be patient, brothers and sisters, until the coming of the Lord. See how the farmer waits for the precious fruit of the earth, being patient with it until it receives the early and the late rains. You too must be patient. Make your hearts firm, because the coming of the Lord is at hand. Do not complain, brothers and sisters, about one another, that you may not be judged. Behold, the judge is standing before the gates. Take as an example of hardship and patience, brothers and sisters, the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord, the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God. Have your blessing, Father. The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. When John the Baptist heard in prison of the works of Christ, he sent his disciples to Jesus with this question: Are you the one who is to come, or should we look for another? Jesus said to them in reply, Go and tell John what you hear and see. The blind regain their sight, the lame walk, lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the poor have the good news proclaimed to them. And blessed is the one who takes no offense at me. As they were going off, Jesus began to speak to the crowds about John. What did you go out in the desert to see? A reed swayed by the wind? Then what did you go out to see? Someone dressed in fine clothing. Those who wear fine clothing are in royal palaces. Then why did you go out? To see a prophet? Yes, I tell you, more than a prophet. This is the one about whom it is written, Behold, I am sending my messenger ahead of you. He will prepare your way before you. Amen, I say to you, among those born of woman, there is none greater than John the Baptist. Yet the least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. The Gospel of the Lord. Bubba was very much in the Christmas spirit. He walked into one of the local taverns and he said, Let's all rejoice. Drinks for everyone. Barkeep, pour yourself one. As the festivities continued, Bubba would continue to say, Drinks for everyone. Barkeep, pour yourself one. Well, after some time elapsed, the bartender came and he said, Bubba, we really ought to talk about this. Your tab is over $300. Bubba said, I don't have any money. With that, the irate bartender knocked him off his bar stool. Well, when Bubba climbed up off the floor and sat down on the stool, he said, Okay, drinks for everyone, but none for you, barkeep. You get mean when you drink. Welcome to Gaudete Sunday. Gaudete is Latin for rejoice. And this is the day where we change colors and all the men of the parish poke fun at Father and I for wearing pink. But as those of us that have been touched by breast cancer like to say, real men wear pink. Now, gentlemen, the color is rose. We are halfway through the Advent season. We take a Sunday to rejoice. John the Baptist sends messengers this morning to ask Jesus, are you the one that is to come, or should we look for another? We seem to have some confusion this morning, or did I miss something? Isn't John related to Jesus? Didn't John baptize Jesus in the Jordan River? Well, to understand what's going on this morning, we have to back up. We're reading in chapter 11 of the Gospel of Matthew. So let's back up to chapter 4, where John baptizes Jesus in the Jordan. Immediately, Jesus goes into the desert for 40 days to be tempted by the devil. When he returns to begin the Galilean ministry, John has already been arrested. We continue reading in the Gospel of Matthew, we'll see the calling of the apostles, the various miracles and marvelous deeds that were performed. We read the nucleus of Matthew's Gospel, chapter 5, 6, and 7, the Sermon on the Mount. All this time, John is sitting in prison. And Herod, being the cruel king that he was, probably didn't provide John cable TV to keep up with the news. John's ministry differed from that of Jesus. John preached repentance. Just last week, he called everyone a brood of vipers. You brood of vipers, the axe lies at the base of the tree. Those not producing good fruit will be cut down and cast into the fire. Maybe John's faith was a little shaken. Maybe he shouldn't have preached repentance because all he did, all that he accomplished, landed him in jail facing the death sentence. But we can take reassurance to know that at those times when maybe our faith is a little shaken, we've got some pretty good company if someone like John the Baptist could have questions. But Jesus says, no, John, you're not wrong. No man born of woman was greater than John the Baptist. Together, you and I are fulfilling the prophecy of Isaiah. The lame walk, the blind see, the deaf hear. You were that voice crying out in the desert that paved the way for me so that I can not only heal their physical ailments, I can save their souls. A young boy lived in a rural area, and they sent a note home from school that said the circus would be in town. He had never seen a circus, either on TV or in person. His father gave him the money for the admittance. As he walked along, he heard a commotion, and there was the Christmas parade going down the street, the animals in the cages, the acrobats tossing their batons. Bringing up the rear were the clowns. When the last clown passed, he handed him his money and went home. He thought he had seen the circus, when in fact he had only seen the parade. We need to experience all of Advent, the rejoicing and the repentance, so that when Jesus comes again, we can experience all he has to offer, because brothers and sisters, it'll be quite a show.